Hello everyone. Today we're starting with our second um, disorder in neurodevelopmental disorder, which is communications disorder. So we're gonna continue with how we're gonna identify what issues individuals have when communicating and how they can be identified. What are communication disorders? Communication disorders include deficits in language, speech and communication. So, how do we differentiate between speech and communication? Speech is the expressive production of sounds, such as individuals' articulation, fluency, voice, and resonance quality, how a person speaks, how a person talks. Language includes the function, use of conventional system of symbols. For example, using words, sign language, written words. That is language. It is a form of function and words that is used in different areas or countries. Communication includes any verbal or non-verbal behavior, and it actually influences the behavior, idea, and attitudes of another individual. Communication includes how we communicate with others, how we behave, what form of communication we use. So now comes the diagnostic criteria for language disorders. Um, First, persistent difficulties in acquisition and use of language across modalities. For example, having problem in spoken language, written language, and any other form due to deficits in comprehension or production that include the following. So, a person or an individual who has language disorder will have deficits in understanding or in producing the following things, that is, reduced vocabulary, they have reduced word knowledge and use, limited sentence structure, there's limited ability to put words and word endings together to form sentences that are based on correct rules of grammar. Impairments in discourse, there is an inability to use vocabulary and correct sentences to explain or describe a topic or a series of events or have a conversation. So these individuals are not able to connect sentences to explain anything or have a communication or have a conversation with others. Language abilities are sustainably and quantifiably below those expected for age, so they can be below for the age group that is required. For example, an individual who is of age 15 may not talk or may not give those language proper use of language that a 15-year-old may use. So there's impairment in that, impairment in academic achievement, social participation, effective communication, or occupational performance. It can be affected individually or in any combination. The onset of symptoms is in the early developmental period through the young age. It can be from age 4 to 5 onwards. The difficulties are not attributable to hearing or any other sensory impairment, motor dysfunction, or another medical or neurological condition, and are better explained by intellectual disability or global developmental delay. What are the diagnostic features that are there? The core diagnostic features of language disorder are difficulties in acquisition and use of language due to the deficits in the comprehension or production of vocabulary, sentence structure, and discourse. The language deficits are evident in spoken language, written language, or sign language. Language deficits are those that they cannot produce vocabulary, they do not have proper sentence structure, and they suffer with it. Language learning and use is dependent on two basic things, which is receptive and expressive skills. Expressive skills refer to the production of vocal, gestural, or verbal signs. So expressive ability is when an individual has the ability to convey what they're feeling, what they're thinking, and what they want to say through gestures, verbal signals, or vocal signals. That is what we call expressive ability. And receptive ability refers to the process of receiving and comprehending language messages. So receptive ability is how a person receives and understands those languages. Language skills need to be assessed in both expressive and receptive modalities, as they may differ in severity. So there may be a difference in severity in each of these aspects, in each of these modalities. For example, an individual's expressive language may be severely impaired, while his receptive language is hardly impaired at all. So a person may be able to comprehend and understand what is being said to that person, and what is being trying to convey, but the individual will have difficulty in actually expressing what they're trying to say and actually have a conversation. So now we're going to move on towards the associated features supporting diagnosis. So these features are those features that actually play a supporting role in actually diagnosing what the issue is. Um, these are not a full permanent diagnosis, but these are associating features which um, If these features are noticeable and prominent, they may be used as a referral for a full language assessment to make sure what the issue is. A positive family history of language disorders is often present, as language disorders are often inherited and are passed on from generation to generation. Individuals, even children, may be adept at accommodating to the limited language. They may fail to accommodate what the limited language is. They may appear to be shy or reticent to talk. They may not want to talk. Affected individuals may prefer to communicate only with family members or other familiar individuals. Although these social indicators are not diagnostic of a language disorder, if they are notable and persistent, they may warrant a referral for a full language assessment. Language disorder, particularly expressive deficits, may co-occur with speech sound disorders. As we have studied it before, speech sound disorders actually may co-occur with language disorder. So these are basic associated features that are present when making a diagnosis. Development and course. Language acquisition is marked by changes from onset in toddlerhood to adult level of competency that appears during adolescence. So, how does it develop? Language acquisition is marked by how an individual progresses through the language states from adolescence to childhood till adulthood. So, how an individual progresses during or making use of language till adulthood, that is how the development of the disorder is actually identified. Changes appear across the dimension of language, such as the sounds that are used, the words, grammar, conversational skills in age graded increments and synchronies. So, how it is actually the words are used, how they're affected. And lastly, language disorder emerges during the early developmental period. However, there is considerable variation in the early vocabulary acquisition and early word combinations, and individual differences are not, as single indicators, highly predictor of later outcomes. So, these language disorders have a variation in early vocabulary acquisition and early word combinations, and there are some individual differences that are present, uh, but but there is a sample onset or a referral point that these are the issues that do happen during the course or the development of the disorder. So, moving on to the risk and prognostic factors, children with receptive language impairments have a poorer prognosis than those with predominantly expressive impairments. So, the reason being is that in the receptive language impairments, a child is unable to understand or comprehend what is trying to be said to him or her. So when they do not understand what is being said to them, they're unable to express, or they're unable to talk back, or they're unable to answer the questions or have a conversation. They are more resistant to treatment, and difficulties with reading comprehension are frequently seen. This is genetic and physiological, it runs in the family. Language disorders are highly heritable, and family members are more likely to have a history of language impairment. Differential diagnosis. There is variation in language. Language disorder needs to be distinguished from normal developmental variations, and the distinction may be difficult to make before the 4 years of age. It can be regional, social, or cultural and ethical variations of language, such as dialects, must be considered when an individual is being assessed for impairment. So, these are factors that need to be taken into consideration. Hearing or sensory impairment. Hearing impairment needs to be excluded as a primary cause of language difficulties. Language deficits may be associated with a hearing impairment, other sensory deficit, or a speech motor deficit. When language deficits are in excess of those usually associated with these problems, a diagnosis of language disorder may be made. Then we have neurological disorders. Language disorder can be acquired in association with neurological disorders, including epilepsy. Language regression, loss of speech and language in a child younger than 3 years may be a sign of autism spectrum disorder or specific neurological conditions such as Landau-Kleffner syndrome. Among children older than 3 years, language loss may be a symptom of seizures. Uh, Seizures and a diagnostic assessment is necessary to exclude the presence of epilepsy. Comorbidity. Language disorder is strongly associated with other neurodevelopmental disorders in terms of specific learning disorder, literacy and numeracy, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, autism spectrum disorder, and developmental coordination disorder. It is also associated with social pragmatic communication disorder. A positive family history of speech or language disorders is often present. Now we come to speech. A diagnostic criteria: a persistent difficulty with speech sound production that interferes with speech intelligibility or prevents verbal communication of messages. The disturbances causes limitations in effective communication that interfere with social participation, academic achievement, or occupational performance, individually or in any combination. Onset of symptoms is in the early developmental period. The difficulties are not attributable to congenital or acquired conditions such as cerebral palsy, cleft palate, deafness, or hearing loss, traumatic brain injury, or any other medical condition. So the disorder is not limited or is not caused by these conditions that have just been discussed. Diagnostic features: speech sound production describes a clear articulation of phonemes, which are individual sounds that in combination make up spoken words. Speech sound production requires both the phonological knowledge of speech sounds and the ability to coordinate the movements of the articulators, that is, the jaw, tongue, and lips, with breathing and vocalizing for the speech. So the speech sound production requires knowledge of the speech sounds, what the speech sounds are, individual sounds, and the movements of the jaw, the tongue, and the lips to actually produce and vocalize the speech. Children with speech production difficulties may experience difficulty with phonological knowledge of speech sounds or the ability to coordinate movements for speech in varying degrees. Speech sound disorder is thus heterogeneous and in underlying mechanisms and includes phonological disorder and articulation disorder. Associated features supporting diagnosis. Language disorder, particularly expressive deficits, may be found to co-occur with speech sound disorder. A positive family history of speech sound disorders is often present. If the ability to rapidly coordinate the articulators is a particular aspect of difficulty, there may be a history of delay or incoordination in acquiring skills that also utilize the articulators and related facial musculature. Among others, these skills include chewing, maintaining mouth closure, and blowing the nose. Development and growth. Learning to produce speech sounds clearly and accurately and learning to produce connected speech fluently are developmental skills. Articulation of speech sound follows a developmental pattern which is reflected in the age norms of standardized tests. It is not unusual for typically developing children to use typical developmental processes for shortening words and syllables as they're learning to talk, but the progression in mastering speech sound production should result in mostly intelligible speech by age 3 years. Children with speech sound disorder continue to use immature phonological simplification processes past the age when most children can produce words clearly. Most speech sounds should be produced clearly and most words should be pronounced accurately according to the age and community norms by age 7 years. The most frequent misarticulated sounds also tend to be learned later, leading them to be called the late eighth. uh, L, L, R, S, Z, Th, Ch, Z, and Z. Misarticulation of any of these sounds by itself can be considered within normal limits up to age 8 years. When multiple sounds are involved, it may be appropriate to target some of those sounds as a part of a plan to improve intelligibility prior to the age at which almost all children can produce them accurately. Lisping, which is misarticulating sibilants, is a particularly common and may involve frontal and lateral patterns of airstream direction. It may be associated with abnormal tongue thrust swollen patterns. Differential diagnosis, there is variations in speech. Regional, social, or ethnic variations of speech should be considered when making the diagnosis. There is hearing and sensory impairment. Hearing impairment or deafness may result in abnormalities of speech. There are structural deficits. There is dysphagia. Speech impairment may be attributable to a motor disorder such as cerebral palsy. And there is selective mutism. Limited use of speech may be a sign of selective mutism, an anxiety disorder that is characterized by the lack of speech in one or more contexts or settings. Now we have the childhood onset fluency disorder, which is stuttering. Of consonants as well as vowels, broken words, audible or silent blocking, filled or unfilled pauses in speech, circumlocutions, word pronounced with excess of physical tension, monosyllabic whole word repetitions. The disturbance cause causes anxiety while speaking or limitations in effective communication, social participation, or academic or occupational performance individually or in any combination. The onset of symptoms is in the early developmental period. The disturbance is not attributable to a speech motor sensory deficit. Diagnostic features. The essential feature of a childhood onset fluency disorder, which is stuttering, is a disturbance in the normal fluency and time patterning of the speech that is inappropriate for the individual's age. This disturbance is characterized by frequent repetitions or prolongations of sounds or syllables, and by the other types of speech disfluencies, including broken words, pauses within a word, audible or silent blocking, filled or unfilled pauses in speech, circumlocutions, and repetition of monosyllabic whole. Associated features of supporting diagnosis: there's fearful anticipation that the problem may develop. The speaker may attempt to avoid disfluencies of linguistic mechanisms, such, for example, altering the rate of speech, avoiding certain words or sounds, or by avoiding certain speech situations such as telephoning or public speaking. In addition to being features of the condition, stress and anxiety have been shown to exacerbate. Development and course. Childhood onset fluency disorder or developmental stuttering occurs by the age of 6 for 80% to 90% of affected individuals, with age at onset ranging from 2 to 7 years. The onset can be insidious and more sudden. Typically, disfluency starts gradually and with repetition of an individual initial consonants, first words of a phrase, or long words. The child may not be aware of the disfluency. As the disorder progresses, the disfluencies become more frequent and interfering, occurring on the most meaningful words and phrases in the risk and diagnosis. It is genetic and physiological. First degree biological relatives of the individuals with childhood onset fluency disorder is more than three times at risk than in the general population. Functional consequence of childhood onset can be that there is stress and anxiety which can exaggerate the discrepancy. Impairment of social functioning may result from there is a differential diagnosis. For example, sensory deficits. Disfluencies of speech may be associated with a hearing impairment or other sensory deficit or a speech motor deficit, with these speech disfluencies are in excess of those usually associated with these problems. A diagnosis of childhood onset fluency disorder may be made. Normal speech disfluencies, the disorder must be distinguished from normal disfluencies that occur frequently in young children, which include whole world of phrase repetitions, incomplete phrases, interjections, unfilled pauses, and parenthetical remarks. If these difficulties increase in frequency or complexity as the child grows older, a diagnosis of childhood onset fluency disorder is appropriate. Medication side effects. Stuttering may occur as a side effect of medication and may be directed by a temporal relationship with exposure to the medication. Adult onset disfluencies. If onset of disfluencies is during or after adolescence, it is an adult onset disfluency rather than a neurodevelopmental disorder. Adult onset disfluencies are associated with specific neurological disorders, insults, and a variety of medical conditions and mental disorders, and may be specified with them but are not but they are not a DSM-5 diagnosis. Tourette syndrome. Vocal tics and repetitive vocalizations of Tourette's disorder should be distinguishable from the repetitive sounds of childhood onset fluency disorder by their nature and timing. Now we're going to come to the social pragmatic communication. The diagnostic criteria. A. Persistent difficulties in the social use of verbal and non-verbal communication as manifested by all of the following. The following criteria or the following difficulties should be there to be actually able to diagnose the problem. Deficits in using communication for social purposes as greeting and sharing information in a manner that is appropriate for social contexts. The individual will have deficits or issues in using communication in a social context which will be appropriate, such as greeting or sharing information. Impairment of the ability to change communication to match context or the need of the listener, such as speaking differently in a classroom than on a playground, talking differently to a child than to an adult, and avoiding use of overly formal language. So, an individual who has social pragmatic disorders will not be able to distinguish between these different social contexts in which an individual talks differently. Difficulties following rules for conversation and storytelling, such as taking turns in conversation, rephrasing when misunderstood, and knowing how to use verbal and non-verbal signals to regulate interaction. So, an individual with this who has been diagnosed with the disorder will have difficulty in these areas. difficulties understanding what is explicitly stated, and non-literal or ambiguous meanings of language, such as what to interpret humors, metaphors, or sarcasm. The deficits result in functional limitations in effective communication, social participation, social relationships, academic achievement, or occupational performance, individually or in occupation or in combination. These deficits in these areas can come together in a combination or they can stand out individually. The onset of the symptoms is in the early developmental period, but deficits may not become fully manifest until social communication demands exceed limited capacities. The symptoms are not attributable to another medical or neurological condition or to low abilities in the domains of word structure and grammar, and are not better explained by autism spectrum disorder, intellectual disability, global developmental delay, or any other mental disorder. Diagnostic features. Social pragmatic communication disorder is characterized by a primary difficulty with pragmatics or the social use of language and communication as manifested by deficits in understanding and following social rules of verbal and nonverbal communication in naturalistic context, changing language according to the needs of the listener or situation, and following rules for conversations and stories. The associated features which support the diagnosis. The most common associated feature of social pragmatic disorder is language impairment, which is characterized by a history of delay in reaching language milestone and historical, if not current, structural language problems. Individuals with social communication deficits may avoid social interactions. Attention deficit hyperactive disorder, behavioral problems, and specific learning disorders are also common among affected individuals. What is a developmental and course? Because social pragmatic communication depends on adequate developmental progress in speech and language. Diagnosis of social pragmatic communication disorder is rare among children younger than 4 years. That is because younger than 4 years, children are still developing the language and how they interact with people in different social contexts. They're still learning that. By the age of 4 or 5 years, most students should possess adequate speech and language abilities to permit identification of specific deficits in social communication. Milder forms of the disorder may not become apparent until early adolescence, when language and social interactions become. Risk and diagnostic factors. It is genetic and physiological. A family history of autism spectrum disorder, communication disorders, or specific learning disorder appears to increase the risk for social pragmatic communication disorder. It is possible that different disorders do link and are an influence on another type of disorder developing in children or the future generations. So having a different spectrum can be possible. Differential diagnosis. Autism spectrum disorder. Autism spectrum disorder is a primary diagnostic consideration for individuals presenting with social communication deficits. The two disorders can be differentiated by the presence in autism spectrum disorder of restricted or repetitive behaviors of patterns, interests, or activities, and their absence in social pragmatic communication disorder. Autism spectrum disorder or ASD has a lot of similarities with social pragmatic communication disorder because individuals with autism are unable to identify social cues when using language or talking in social contexts. Individuals with autism spectrum disorder may only display restricted repetitive patterns of behaviors, interests, and activities during the early developmental period, so comprehensive history should be obtained. Current absence of symptoms would not preclude a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder if the restricted interests and repetitive behaviors were present in the past. A diagnosis of social pragmatic communication disorder should be considered only if the developmental history fails to reveal any evidence of restricted repetitive behaviors of patterns of behavior, interests, or attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Primary deficits of ADHD may cause impairments in social communication and functional limitations of effective communication, social participant, or academic achievement. Social anxiety disorder. The symptoms of social uh, communication disorder overlap with those of social anxiety disorder. The differentiating feature is the timing of the onset of symptoms. In social pragmatic communication disorder, the individual has never had effective social communication. In social anxiety disorder, the social communication skills developed appropriately but are not utilized because of anxiety, fear, or distress about social interactions. Intellectual disability, intellectual developmental disorder, and global developmental delay. Social communication skills may be affected among individuals with global developmental delay or intellectual disability, but a separate diagnosis is not given until the social communication deficits are clearly in access of the intellectual limitations. Unspecified communication disorder. This will be the last category that we'll be doing for this lecture. This category applies to the presentations in which symptoms characteristic of communication disorder that cause clinically significant distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning predominate but do not meet the full criteria for communication disorder or for any of the disorders in the neurodevelopmental diagnosis class. The unspecified communication disorder category is used in situations in which the clinician chooses not to specify the reason that the criteria are not met for communication disorder or for a specific neurodevelopmental disorder, and includes presentations in which there is insufficient information to make a more specific